And seeds, this is seed rice. We are buying 144,450 kilograms, which is 2,889 bags of rice, and oil is 2,400 gallons of oil. The total beneficiary population for food is 6,000 people for the next 4 months, which is 1,000 families, 6 person to a family ratio. And we are doing our distribution in LRR, in Jara East, and in North Bank, in Lower Badibo. The total beneficiary population for seeds and cash voucher would be 39,000 people, which is 5,778 families would be targeted for this particular support.
The funds mobilized with technical support from the Spanish Red Cross has a funding gap of $14 million. The Gambia Red Cross Society are however determined to seek for additional resources for possible malnutrition outbreak within the 2 identified regions within the next 4 months. Babukar Kamara, GRTS.
We'll be back with more stories after the break.
Ready? Are you ready for an extreme summer concert?
Oh, sometimes I get a good feeling.
Pull it up, selector. Saturday, 7 July, live at the Independence Stadium in Bacau. It's the AfriSoul Extreme Concert in collaboration with the American Embassy. AfriSoul brings you this summer's biggest concert.
Come celebrate with AfriCell the grand launching of the AfriCell website, www.africell.gm, live at the Independence Stadium on Saturday the 7th of July.
I'm gonna take over. AfriCell Extreme Concert with the U.S. Embassy, featuring
Epiphany all the way from the United States,
G, Singate, Jalex, and many more of your favorite Gambian artists.
AfriCell Extreme Concert in partnership with the U.S. Embassy, Saturday 7th July at the Independence Stadium. Entry is absolutely free, and the concert will be broadcasted live on 107.6 FM. Let the fun begin.
Welcome back. Hundreds of angry protesters have stormed parts of Bamako, calling for urgent external military intervention to rein in the radical Ansaruddin group and the Tuareg rebels in northern Mali. The UN Security Council is expected to meet on Thursday night to decide whether to authorize military action in Mali. Any UN approval of the resolution will allow an ECOWAS military contingent move in to restore calm in the troubled West African country. Let's look at this report for more on that.
In spite of heavy rains, Malians braved the weather in Bamako on Wednesday. They wanted to show their support for a military intervention to liberate North Mali from the Islamists. The protesters denounced the silence of the Malian authorities and urged the government to send a military envoy to the north.
Military intervention is necessary. It's no longer avoidable. It's inevitable. And what do you think the reaction of the government is to all this? Lethargic, abnormal, without responsibility. The youth are ready to join our country's military, but we also need international aid.
Ready to send troops to rebel-occupied Mali, the West African countries are waiting for the green light from the UN Security Council, who are due to meet Thursday night. They will try to adopt a resolution to allow military intervention. This delay in action has left many Malians impatient.
We ask ourselves the question, should we let the other party decide to talk about independence? There are no negotiations with respect to keeping the country together.
Malians from all over are against this rigid form of Islam that destroyed the religious sites in Timbuktu. Just as their forefathers, they know only of a moderate and tolerant Islam.
Algerians are marking the North African country's Golden Jubilee with a series of cultural activities. Algeria fought a bitter 8-year war of independence with former colonial master France, and authorities in DR Congo have introduced the country's new banknotes. The new currency replaces the old banknotes, which have often created problems for people due to its huge digits. We have details of both stories and others in the CFI roundup report.
In Algeria, celebrations marking the 50th anniversary of the country's independence. Rather than military parades, the accent's on cultural and historical displays. President Bouteflika opens a show describing the country's independence struggle against the French. A year-long program's planned, including exhibitions and lectures about the conflict which ended in 1962. Democratic Republic of Congo unveils the country's new banknotes. New 1,000, 5,000 and 10,000 franc notes are being put into circulation. The government hopes the new currency will simplify commercial transactions and eliminate the use of the US dollar. Up to now, people have had to carry around huge piles of the former banknotes. Today, you won't need a bulky suitcase to carry the cash needed for a purchase. He's the first Paralympic athlete to be allowed to compete in the normal Olympic Games. The South African Oscar Pistorius has qualified for his country's team in the forthcoming London Games. Pistorius is to run in the 400-meter relay. The 25-year-old athlete, who was born with malformed legs, which were amputated when he was a baby, runs with high-tech prosthetics.
A huge fire has completely destroyed the biggest market in Cameroon's second city, Douala. Hundreds of shops and stalls have been burned to ashes. Eyewitness accounts say fire rescue crews turned up but could not deal with the blaze due to lack of enough water. Details in this CFI report.
The fire has not been completely put out, but hundreds of Cameroonians are back at what remains of the biggest market in Douala. Residents from the area, but mostly vendors who lost everything. Each square centimeter is carefully scrutinized as people try to rescue what they can get their hands on: a silver chain, electronic parts, metals, which will be recycled. We're looking for objects that are useful. We will work on them and then sell them at the market. We are looking for white gold and silver. Between 600 and 1,000 shops went up in flames. Shops that specialized in tailoring, arts, crafts, jewelry and cell phones. The estimated material loss is around 2 million euros. The fire began at around 8 p.m. Firemen arrived rapidly, but they were overwhelmed by the flames. Some eyewitnesses are also saying that the firefighters didn't have enough water. Firemen were here. They maneuvered in such a way that they did not succeed in putting out the fire. The fire was very strange. The more they tried to stop it, the more it grew. Vendors are desperate at the Douala market. This is the second fire here in 2 years. A previous fire had destroyed some 40 shops. The authorities are blaming a short circuit for the fire. Electric wires were in bad shape and there was talk of destroying the market to build a new one. And there are rumors that the fire was not accidental and that it was linked to a settling of accounts between vendors.
We now take a second break. We'll be right back.
Allah, Allah. It's traditional that your national GSM provider, Gamcell, takes many of its valuable customers to Mecca each year. This year again, Gamcell will offer 10 more of its valuable customers a complete Hajj package in a draw to be held live on GRTS television. Yes, your Hajj is possible by simply loading $50 scratch card or Nopal. You can win not only a return ticket to Mecca, but also $1,000 travel allowance, food and accommodation in Medina and Mecca. Remember, the more you load $50 scratch card or Nopal, the more you increase your winning chance. With Gamcell, your Hajj is now easier. Gamcell, yay baron.
And before we go, a reminder of our headlines. Gambia Red Cross Society has secured $22 million aid to assist close to 6,000 families grappling with the effects of last year's crop failure. Banjulians and the ruling party faithful are mourning the passing of Aji Fatou Sallah, former APRC women's mobilizer. Angry Malian demonstrators have been calling for urgent outside intervention to stop the excesses of the radical Ansaruddin group in northern Mali. And a huge fire outbreak has razed down hundreds of stalls and shops in Cameroon's second city, Douala. You can follow those stories and other GRTS programs live on our website at www.grts.gm. There you can also monitor GRTS Radio Live. That brings us to the end of this edition of news. Thanks for the pleasure of your company. Join us at 10 for another bulletin.